So here's the official introduction to my vegetable garden, and it's looking spectacular so far. And here's my solar power gift that was given to me by someone who's really special to me. She was the same person who gave me the leaf table, and it's awesome because now I get some light to shine my way when I enter the garden, so it's pretty awesome so far. This was a really neat find in the garden. It was pretty exciting to see that we have buds on the tomato plants, and these are the tomatoes that are, I believe they're called black vernissage or some kind of weird name like that, and I've never tried them, and those are the first to produce flowers, so I'm excited to see how those taste. I'll just have to find out soon. Notice that some of my plants, the leaves have started to curl, at least on the tomato plants so far. And I know I've been watering pretty good, so I'm debating whether it's like disease or if I'm overwatering. I would think it'd be overwatering because this guy is right next to the hose, and these soaker hoses absolutely bleed like crazy with the water source, so I'm gonna have to do some troubleshooting here. Another tomato that I wanted to point out was these younger guys that I believe might possibly be Dr. Witchy's yellow tomato. I'm not exactly sure because I got them down at the farmer's market. The seeds I gathered from these tomatoes from this lady that was selling them. So I have no idea, but the fruit looked kind of this yellowish orange color, so that's what I'm naming them for now. But I'm gonna see if I can find that lady again and ask her what they were. But these guys, my first attempt with the tomatoes was way back in March, and they all died because I was an idiot and like tried to transplant them right in the sun and forgot what up here in the north, I forgot what sun actually feels like for a while. So they all died when I tried transplanting them, and on top of that they weren't even used to regular sun because I didn't use an actual grow light. I just used a regular boring old lamp light, which did not work well at all. I think it's just easier for me to start in April and keep bringing them outside to harden off and get more mature and used to the sun. But these guys were the latest that I planted, and they're pretty young, so and they keep getting really weird and yellow, and I don't know if it's just the species that it is or like if there's some kind of deficiency of some sort, but so far they're not looking too bad. This isn't part of the main garden, but I felt like it would be righteous to at least mention this large tomato plant that I actually started way back in the fall of my senior year of college. and it's looking not too bad. It's a little bit rough, but this thing is a survivor. If this plant could talk, man, it survived all throughout the year during my when I was in the BFA house at my college, and it grew really scraggly and all like skinny because it didn't get enough light, but then it kind of came back somehow. I actually decided to cut it back because it just wasn't doing well, and I wanted to actually flower press the leaves and see how they would come out. And then before I knew it, it grew back again. It was just a tiny, teeny tiny little stem with a few leaves, and I thought, what if I could just let it grow back and keep watering it, keep taking care of it. And it grew back, and now it has lovely little fruits growing on it. So I decided to plant it in the pool, and it was actually a little bit chaotic because it was a full-grown plant that I had to move out of the BFA house, which was pretty tough. I had to bring it back because of COVID, so it was quite the adventure I had with this one plant. I just felt like I had to mention this guy. And then around the rest of the borders of the pool, I got more tomato plants that I had started back in March, and they were looking really rough. This guy still looks really rough, but I have more that are kind of making a comeback. They're looking a lot better. That one was tiny and looking really rough, and that's growing really good. And then around here you'll see some beautiful morning glories my mom planted around the pool, which just really adds a nice touch. I just realized that I almost forgot about these amazing cherry tomatoes, and they're looking so beautiful. I was able to find a nice big pot right beside the shed that I was able to borrow and fill it with a layer of just a bit of sand, some compost, and then some manure from the neighbors, and they are really taking well to this spot. They were tomatoes that my dad actually brought home that were really tiny. They were like itty bitty little things. They're red, yellow, and like a deep, almost purple color. So I decided to name them Sprinkles because that's what they were labeled on the package. I saved the seeds, and now the plants are doing really amazing, and I'm hoping that we'll have some really tasty little cherry tomatoes to pick right off our deck. Yeah, and then my mom helped me out big time because the chickmunks were just digging away in the dirt around them, and it was really frustrating. So my mom had a really cool idea where she found some steel wool and then put it around the tomatoes, and now they're a little bit more protected from any rodents or anything that might want to dig around them. So that's the last of the tomatoes. That's all the tomatoes in the yard. Yay, I got all of them. So these two little guys are, well, actually they grow pretty huge. I found out they're called this red curry squash, and my grandmother gave them to my mom, and we both started them by seed. The ones in this garden seem kind of stunted, but I wanted to give them a shot because you just never know. And I noticed this guy started flowering, or had a bud here, and I put this big like mesh bag over the bud, so that way when it pollinates, it kind of self-pollinates, and that way it remains the same kind of fruit that the original plant produced. I mean, I guess there's plenty of ups and downs to doing that, but figured I'd just mention that I did this just because I wanted to make sure that the fruit that it produces is the same kind of fruit that it originated from. So, because I wanted to save the seeds to this guy and make sure that it's not a hybrid or anything, just to maintain that original flavor that it has. Plus, I'm really excited. I've never tried red curry squash. I hope it's gonna taste like curry. It'll be fun. And then this guy exploded. He was looking pretty rough. It was all yellow and now it's getting all green. I babied all these guys. From here down, I guess to that fourth plant, I believe is the butternut squash, which I just love. Anything with the name butternut, you just gotta love it. But this plant, it's also a butternut, and I'm a little concerned because it looks like the leaves are showing a sign of some kind of mildew or something. I'm wondering if I'll need to spray the plant. It looks pretty cool. I'd love to flower press it, but I don't think it's that great for the plant. I'll just have to look into that. But these guys were also looking pretty rough. They still look a little bit stunted, but they'll catch up. I'm not too concerned about it. Before they were looking very yellow and needing attention, so I took the time to put some topsoil around them and give them plenty of Epsom salt and just doing stuff like that, babying them, because all these kind of plants seem like they need extra attention. I was actually afraid that I was overwatering, because I thought since they're summer squash, they need to be watered like every day for their fruits and stuff. And that's what I was doing, but then they still stayed yellow, so I just backed off and waited a day, and then they got a little more green, so I figured I was being a little overprotective, I guess I'll say it that way. Because I'm just trying so hard, like, just stay alive, but then just, you know, overdoing it. That happens a lot as a gardener. But so far they're looking pretty good. They were looking a lot worse before when I first planted them, so this is so far a success story of the garden. And then, oh yeah, this guy, oh, I'm excited about this one. This was from a pack of seeds that my neighbor gave to me. They're this lemon, they're called a lemon cucumber, and I only was successful with one plant, but I'm gonna see how this guy does, and hopefully he'll produce some really tasty fruit. I mean, it's just really cool. I like the name. I hope it does actually taste kind of lemony, because to be honest, I'm not that crazy about cucumbers, but I still grow them and stuff just because I can. And I'm hoping that this one tastes a little more interesting and has a unique flavor. And so far, he's doing really well. The leaves are all big and green, and luckily me and my dad teamed it up and we added a ton of compost into here, so I think everything's really taking well to that. And then I believe this guy, and then I think that third one there, these three plants are a type of cucumber. I think they're called straight 8. I that's just what the name was. They looked like they were variegated with like stripes and all, like, you know, like maybe an heirloom, but I kind of forget now, I'm not sure. So these little guys are called cucamelons, and actually the same friends of ours that introduced us to the lemon cucumber actually introduced us to these guys a few years back, and I tried them pickled and they were absolutely amazing. I love how they pop in your mouth, and they're just these little tiny miniature cucumbers basically, and they're really tasty. I want to try pickling them if we get enough. So that's these guys, and they're doing pretty good. And can't forget these little tiny plants that are also another type of plant that was given to us by the same neighbors. And there's some type of melon, and one of them died. Just one day I came in here, the day before it looked like that, and then now it's like dead and gone. I don't know what happened. Weird things, bizarre things happen in gardens every day. But they're not looking that extraordinary yet. They're still very tiny. I don't know if they're just really stunted or they just don't take well to the garden or what it is, but I'm not that concerned because they're just something I was gonna try and see if it would work and experiment with. So we'll see. They could just explode within the next couple of weeks, or they could just not do anything at all. So and then way back here, I hope they get enough sun. It stays pretty shady back here for like the third of the day, but I just realized I forgot to plant just regular old summer squash by seed, and I went out and got some, or actually my folks surprised me with these plants, and I hope they do well. I think I did plant them a little bit close, just kind of scrambling to get them in, and I still have one to give the neighbors. But so far these guys look pretty good. I've come out here and noticed that they have wilted from how hot it's been, but I hope they do well. I hope they're not stunted. We'll see how it goes. Over here I got some more butternut and red curry squash. These red curry squash back here in particular, these ones were started by seed by my mom, and they're looking really good. They're flowering a lot and they look very green and lush, despite it being a sand pit back here, which is really surprising. Might be because she started them earlier than I started mine, but they're looking great. And then I have some spare butternuts right here that I decided to try back here as well. This one looks like it's starting to do the same thing as the last butternut in my main garden. It might be mildew. Let me know if you guys know what that is down in the comments. If you happen to know that, that would be great. And then over here we got some oh my gosh, I'm blanking out. It's asparagus grown back in here, and so far I only see a couple popping up. These were some things that my mom started to plant, attempted at planting, and they're doing pretty good, at least what's there. Oh, this is really sweet. All the radishes I planted last week are coming up in this little mound. swirled mound that I made. And the French breakfast are coming in. Some of them are pretty plump back here, and then other ones are looking a little bit rough. I don't really know what's going on with them. I noticed they're getting a little scraggly and weird and not really plump at all. And I'm wondering if it's a lack of nutrients or if it just comes down to not creating a sufficient enough mound, like a big enough mound of earth here, or if I overwatered. Again, the list could go on. I'm not sure if you guys can even tell, but because of all the weeds. But over here, I have sugar daddy peas growing, and they've started to produce some flowers. I just have to take some time and weed out all these prickers and just weeds, weeds, weeds. Gardening is mostly weeding, and I'm trying to balance it out more and whatnot, but oh yeah, and over here I got my strawberry patch, which hasn't been doing very well this year. It's been kind of droughty. I'll describe it that way, but it hasn't rained much at all, and these guys have been showing it. And on top of that, I've noticed that some of the plants are showing signs of bugs eating them, and on top of that, I have Jerusalem artichokes that are just taking over, and then the chickmunk population has exploded, so they've been eating all the fruit on me pretty much. And my lamest attempts at this has been to add marigolds, because they're supposed to keep pests and things out, but I don't think it's really working that great. Then I tried using some kind of net material to protect them from insects and squirrels and crud like that, and it hasn't really done anything. So I don't know. It's just been a rough year as far as strawberries. I've only collected maybe a handful or less of the berries, and years past we've been able to collect so much that we've made pies and all sorts of things like that, and so I'm a little sad. But it's not the end of the world. Well, this has been really neat. I've been able to come out here and snack on the other type of peas called snowbird peas, and they're doing pretty well. They're already producing some peas on them, and they're just delicious. I've been walking around here and I almost forgot to mention these nasturtiums that I've planted. Only 6 of the, I think at least a dozen of them that I planted or started from seed have made it. I'm just happy to have any at all. Yeah, they're looking pretty good. I haven't seen any buds yet on them. For a while they looked very yellow and stunted, and I was a bit concerned, and then I added more nutrients to them, and I figured that I could just plant them in sand and they'll do fine, because I researched about them or learned more about them and found out that they like kind of cruddy soil. But I found out the hard way that everything needs at least a little bit of nutrients or something, some kind of sustenance. Oh my gosh, I can't speak this morning. Only had half a cup of coffee. But anyway, I really hope these things bloom, because I really spent a lot of time on them. It was a lot to just get these to grow. And I actually decided to plant them right in the center of my vegetable garden because I researched a little bit about them and found out that they apparently do protect against pests, but here I decided to put them to the test and see if they'd work. And so far so good. I think they're protecting the tomatoes. Everything's doing pretty well, so hopefully I'm successful and I get some flowers, because their flowers are tasty. It kind of tastes a little bit like a radish, and it'd be great to have in salads. So over on this side of the garden I got my carrot patch, which I feel lucky this year to even have any carrots growing at all, despite having tons of weeds. I gotta spend some time back in here, but so far the carrots that have come up are doing pretty well. I do have a few concerns because some of them are looking kind of rough. They look like, not sure if this is some type of disease, like these weird white specks that just show up on everything, or if it's just been too hot. I'm not really sure. And then on this opposite end there's just about nothing growing, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was a lack of soil or what, but nothing's been coming up over there. So right where I'm standing, it's just on the outskirts of the vegetable garden. Back here I spent at least 2 weeks straight just coming out here every day, trying to rip out weeds and sift through the earth, and it just took forever. There's so much crabgrass growing, it was ridiculous, and I had to spend a lot of time just ripping that out. But I made my lamest attempts at planting something back here, and I tried to plant the peppers that were given to me by a really good friend. But so far they just haven't done very well. They're looking a little yellow, and I'm pretty sure it's because I've been overwatering them, which I can't do much about right now because the way I planned the hose system, I kind of messed up. And I feel like I should have switched them with the onions and garlic. I can't even tell where they are because there's so many weeds. Yeah, anyway, again, my garden's not perfect. I have some time to spend out here. But so far, if I can reach them, I think this is an onion. They're not doing too bad. They look like they still need more water. They look a little rough, but that was my lamest attempts. And back here, you can't even tell. There's like onions and garlic that I've been trying to grow back there, but there's just so many weeds that I gotta rip out. Second cup of coffee. I needed it really badly because I kept stuttering. Ugh. So anyway, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and any feedback in the comments would be really appreciated. I'd love that from you guys. So anyway, that was my first official garden tour, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you later.